Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, this is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner, joined as always by Corey Tackman. Corey, in the heat of playoff season, we're going to give updates on that playoff bracket for teams across central Minnesota, set the stage for what it's going to look like on Thursday, and also talking a little matchup between Wadena-Deer Creek and Park Rapids area that went down to the wire in a chilly afternoon game in Wadena. Also, we're going to debrief the Minnesota Timberwolves season, talk about what went right, what went wrong, and do big changes need to be made? Do the Timberwolves need to go trophy hunting for a big buck? That's maybe the thing we talk about there. That's what they call a tease, Corey. But we don't need to tease you about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
No, something fun happening right now at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Have you tried it yet? The limited time steak and onion pizza. Get it on the buffet or order it to go. I will tell you that I indeed have tried it, and it is very, very good. One of the concerns when it comes to steak on pizza is this thing going to be dried out? Is this going to be gnawed through a piece of beef jerky? And let me tell you what, it is absolutely not. It's very tender, very good, wonderful pizza. Plus, you can pair it with the new watermelon feta salad. So this is what this is. It is a mix of juicy watermelon chunks, sliced mini cucumbers, red onions, feta cheese, chopped fresh mint, fresh cracked pepper, and a zesty lime vinaigrette. This is like a southern sort of staple and an option. I also had this, and let me tell you, when you get a bite of watermelon and cucumber at the exact same time, it is like a mouthful of water all of a sudden. It's very juicy, very tasty. You haven't had anything like it before. I can promise you that. It is going to be a unique flavor that you haven't had, and it is certainly worth a try. The limited time steak and onion pizza with the new watermelon feta salad. You can try it now at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
All right, Corey, yesterday we had Section 8AA softball on the airwaves. Wadena-Deer Creek versus Park Rapids area. We previewed that matchup, talked about the game that they played a week ago where WDC won 6-2. Mentioned that all on yesterday's show, so go back and watch that on YouTube. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. That's the place to go. But with this team, and we talked about it, we said, we were very firm. We were very entrenched in this idea that probably going to be a low scoring affair with the cold. You're going to need to be able to make sure that you're doing the right things. Every run is going to matter. It's going to be a tightly contested defensive pitching affair with the weather. And both teams scored more runs than they did in the first outing that they played each other. So, that's just the way sports goes sometimes. If it went the way we thought it was going to go, it'd be boring. So that's exactly what happened yesterday. Wadena-Deer Creek gets a 7-5 victory over Park Rapids area. Braylon Becker on the bump ends up pitching, by the way. Technically, she got all 21 outs, but not necessarily consecutively, if that makes sense, because she got into the 7th inning, ran into a little bit of trouble, needed to bring in Haverkamp to come in and try and pitch. She got through a couple batters. Park Rapids area continued to move the line, and then they brought Becker back in to get the final out and get things down. But just to kind of take things back, it kind of has been the story of the season, Corey, for Wadena-Deer Creek. I know you've seen them more than I have, but I've seen enough WDC games over the years to kind of know how this team likes to play. They are aggressive on the base paths. They are moving. They are putting pressure on the other team, and they're going to get themselves typically 1 to 2 runs a game extra just by being aggressive, running the bases. They did that. They're going to constantly have traffic, and they're going to score a lot. And Wadena-Deer Creek had base runners in every single inning. They scored in all but the 2nd and the 7th inning. So they've just constantly putting pressure on, not necessarily a big 8-run blow up, but just a lot of, hey, we got 2 runs here. We got 2 runs there. We did this. We did that. Constantly, just anytime Park Rapids area would get a run, Wadena-Deer Creek in the next half inning would all of a sudden tack on a couple more. And this is a Park Rapids area lineup, by the way, that averages 9.5 runs a game on the season. Wadena-Deer Creek averaging over 10 runs a game. So both of these teams have good offense, and really kind of at the end of the day, Wadena-Deer Creek, even though they made a few errors throughout the game, what they were able to do was make the big defensive plays in big spots. And I think of there was a 2-out ball for Jada Dykoff deep in the hole at shortstop, backhands it, throws a strike across the diamond. In softball, not an easy thing to do, able to make the play. And I think of Alyssa Carr, deep in center field, tracking a ball to the fence, making a sliding catch that worked out well. I think of back to Jada Dykoff, there was a runner on second in the first inning, and there's a ground ball hit to her. She bluffs the throw to first, gets that girl running from second to third, thinking, oh, hey, she threw the ball. I'm going to be aggressive, get that extra 60 feet, and boom, tags her out because she turned around, never let the ball leave her hand. And then also in that top of the 7th inning, leadoff runner gets on for Park Rapids area. They end up making a rally, but it didn't come until 2 outs were already on the board because Dykoff had a ground ball hit right to her, going up the middle, steps on the bag, throws across to first. And how big was that double play in the end? Because Park Rapids area was down 7-3 going into the top of the 7th inning, and then was able to put a couple runners on and get the go-ahead run to the plate. And without that double play, Corey, it maybe is a different game. Park Rapids area maybe pushes this thing to extras or takes the lead.
Yeah, they put the bat on the ball. I've been lucky enough to see a number of Heart of Lakes Conference teams this year, and in the spring sports coverage is always a little weird, and games were able to get in, but most of the teams I saw were Heart of Lakes Conference teams. And the Heart of Lakes Conference is just prepared come tournament time, offensively speaking, and because they get to see really good pitching all year long. So the Panthers, they put the ball in play. We talked about it a lot yesterday. Like, yeah, they only had 4 hits against Wadena-Deer Creek the first time they played a week ago, but there were 10 ground ball outs. So there's 2 ways to look at that. One is a great job by the pitcher, and it was, in forcing all those ground balls. But the other way to look at it is Park Rapids area puts the bat on the ball often, and they are not shy about swinging the bat and making you have to earn it defensively. So you knew that going into that game that they were going to stick it around a little bit, and by golly, they did just that. Just it seemed like just the deficit was just a little too much, and their run came just a little too late.
Yeah, exactly. For Park Rapids area on the day, kind of a hitter that stuck out here was Maddie Hamango. She finished the day 3 of 4, had a really good at-bat in that top of the 7th inning, kind of worked the count full, fouled off a bunch of pitches, and then eventually got herself a hit that started that 2-out rally for Park Rapids area. But also there were just a couple other hitters on the team that, even though it was 50 degrees, they gave the ball a ride. I think if they played a week ago, Corey, where it was warmer, when you were calling the game the first time between these 2 teams, there's 2 balls that Park Rapids area hits over the fence. So they have some really nice hitters on that team. And, again, it's a 4-5 matchup. It's going to be really good. So Park Rapids area goes to the elimination bracket. Let's just give a quick update on where this bracket sits here in 8AA. Wadena-Deer Creek is going to go to Roseau tomorrow, 5 o'clock first pitch. Roseau, the 1 seed, Wadena-Deer Creek, the 4, maybe a little bit of like in volleyball, Corey, where Wadena-Deer Creek goes all the way up to Roseau and gets a victory around late in the 8AA playoff stages. So not necessarily unfound of, and Roseau remembers that. A lot of those same athletes, likely, they're going to want some revenge there. So that's what it's like on this side of the bracket in the conference quarterfinals, or section quarterfinals, beg your pardon. And then on the other side, 2-seeded Dilworth Glendon Felton took care of Thief River Falls yesterday, 8-0. They are going to host 6-seeded Breckenridge Wahpeton, who got the 4-3 upset over 3-seeded Holly in Holly yesterday. So Breck Wap versus DGF. And I know you saw that Breck Wap team, Corey. Probably not surprising that they were able to come away with that one.
Again, another team that 1 through 9, I saw them in a doubleheader at Staples Motley earlier in the season. 1 through 9, they were all sticks, every single one of them. And it's not that they are up there. They not a single one of them gets cheated on a swing ever. So yeah, those Heart of Lakes Conference teams in particular are quite prepared come tournament time.
Exactly. So that's the winners bracket. Let's go to the elimination bracket here. War Road is going to have a matchup with Park Rapids area. That's at the high seed, so that is going to be in Park Rapids tomorrow at 5 o'clock. For Thief River Falls and Holly, that game is going to be in Holly, and that'll also be a 5 o'clock first pitch there. Again, in that elimination bracket, it's win or go home. In the winners bracket, if you lose, you go to that elimination bracket to face some of these other teams. If you are in that winner's bracket and you win, you get a trip to the section semifinal match, which will be held on the 26th. So next Tuesday, 5 o'clock, location to be determined. It's going to be a neutral field there. Let's go around the horn to section 6A and let's just get an update. There were some games that were played yesterday between some of these schools. So Border West is going to take on New York Mills tomorrow. 4-5 matchup there. Border West got a 14-4 victory over Hancock, and New York Mills got a 20-0 victory over the Ashby Arrows. That'll play, Corey.
Congratulations. Oh no, he's dying. No, it's on camera and everything. No.
I tried to give you the floor to talk, and then he just hung me out to dry.
No, absolutely. You're on camera. We're just going to all sit back and we're going to watch it happen. Boy, your face is as red as Alexi Casilla's numbers right now.
Dang it, Corey. Dang you. All right.
I've chosen to be professional there. Yes, but that's not as fun.
That's not what we do here on this show. All right. Parker's Prairie taking on Uppsala. 7-2 matchup. 3 o'clock. Minnewaska. Going to be the host site there.
Do you want me to pull up a bracket? I didn't know you were going to do this. You want me to pull up the brackets and go through this so you can get some water?
No, I'm good. West Central area taking on Browerville. 3-6. That's also going to be in Minnewaska tomorrow. Hey, looking on that other side of the bracket, on the winner's side, on the elimination side, nothing doing there quite yet because we've gotten through that single elimination round. That's where things are going to be set up in 5A. A little more traction there. Sabika gets a 21-0 victory over Pine River Bacchus. We talked about that before. They have a matchup against Nevis tomorrow at noon at Sabika High School. We are going to have coverage of that game on 101.7 FM, AM 920 KWAD, and online at Wadena-Radio.com/KWAD. Pine River Bacchus and Hill City Northland in the elimination bracket. They play in Black Duck tomorrow. East Central takes on Mille Lacs at 2 o'clock. And remember, if Sabika wins, they go to the semifinal game at Walker Hackensack Akeley, noon, first pitch on Tuesday. Loser of that game, well, they wait till 4 o'clock to take on the winner of East Central and Mille Lacs. So a lot of movement there throughout the bracket on that side. On the other side, over in 5A, we have Black Duck, the 2 seed, taking on 3-seeded Killier Northome. So there's your caught up in the brackets. As we kind of wrap up our high school sports discussion here, Corey, it's always really fun to get to these stages. The double elimination bracket kicks in, and I say this complimentary. It's some of the most chaotic section tournaments we ever see, these baseball and softball ones, because of the elimination bracket.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't mean that however you need to, complimentary or not. It just turns into once you get through the first round, it's a total and utter zoo. There's nothing else like the only way it makes sense is if you just keep winning, because then it's just straightforward.
Right.
You lose, you make it a mess for yourself and everybody else. And in
theory, when you get to the losers bracket, it's also just keep winning. So
correct. It's just much harder. I think you have to win 2 more games though. Mm-hmm. If depending on when you lose.
Exactly.
That's a lot. That's a lot more games all of a sudden.
A lot. So the good news is with softball is you typically don't have to, like in baseball, there's a pitching element that you have to kind of manage arms with the pitch counts and things like that. With softball, there is no rule in place for that just because the throwing motion is different, using different parts of your body to throw. But, it's fun. These playoffs are fun. It's always great to be around. Best of luck to all the teams. We'll talk about the matchup specifically more tomorrow. All right, Corey, let's wrap up the show today by talking a little bit about the Minnesota Timberwolves. We were going to do this yesterday, and then Royce Lewis decided to get himself demoted, and we just decided to make it the Royce Show. But we are going to talk today about the Minnesota Timberwolves. They got eliminated in 6 games against the San Antonio Spurs, and I think now, Corey, this is just an aside, or a comment, really. The Minnesota Timberwolves maybe need to petition Adam Silver to move him to the East. If they're going to have to go through OKC and San Antonio every year.
Well, we just need the expansion to happen to see what the eventual move is, I suppose, for the Timberwolves.
It's been approved. Realignment, not yet.
Yeah, there's still some things that need to get themselves sorted out. I don't know. It's just kind of I knew we were going to talk about this subject, and I was trying to think of like a nice, clean, like this is my eulogy on the Timberwolves. And I don't know that I have like a nice, clean thought on it. It's weird. It was a weird season, but they're really good. They're a really good basketball team. They have one of the best players in the league, a total and complete difference maker. They were really injured come playoff time in a way that absolutely impacts the results of that series. Maybe not necessarily if they win or lose that series, but the depth at which how long that series goes. They don't take things seriously still at times when I think they should.
In Tuesday night games in January.
Yeah, there's just some things about them that continue to be weird, but they're very good at basketball. So I don't know, this is like a new phase of Timberwolves basketball that I've never really experienced.
They're not young and exciting anymore. They are
young.
They are young, relatively speaking, but it's not, oh, look at these cute Timber pups. This is like, all right, everybody's getting scrutinized. Like, everybody's looking now at, like, is Naz Reid going to be, what is Naz Reid's role going forward? Can he be your sixth man? How do you win it? Is Jaden the building block player you still need him to be? Is there another level? This is no more like, oh, hey, imagine if this or this happens. This is now where you kind of look at this roster and you go, okay, we've had some results. We've had some good runs. But ultimately, when we've when we've gotten far in the playoffs and you get to that spot, we've kind of hit a wall in the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years against Wemby. And the good news about the Minnesota Timberwolves is that when they are out of gas, when they are out of gas, they have lost each of their last 3 elimination games by 30-plus points. So when they're done, they're like, yep, you got us. We're done.
It might not be physically out of gas. Like they just check out.
Yeah.
They just mentally check out of games, and they do it all season long and whatever. That series was over. I understand.
It was over. Yeah, exactly. It was by the first quarter of that game 6. I remember shutting it off being like, well, I don't need to, I already know this thing's ending. I don't need to see how this plays out. If they come back and win, cool. But I don't need to see how this play ends.
The thing that's interesting though is like the main name you hear around the Timberwolves in discussion right now is obviously Julius Randle, right? That's the name.
He's taken a lot of slings and arrows for how this thing has ended.
But the thing that's interesting here is I am not defending how bad Julius was, because he was bad. Kind of all playoffs.
And not just on the court too, but there was a kind of a mental / locker room-ish component about kind of how everybody dealt around him.
I mean, there's reports out from credible people that he was purposefully mailing it in as to not tank his value, which is wild.
Right. Or in fact, to tank his value so no team would trade for him.
Right, exactly. That's how I meant to say that.
Basically, he heard his name in trade talks and was like, you know what? It got in his head, and he just kind of let that fester and eat at him, and you just have to deal with that when you're in the NBA, and he couldn't.
And that's real, by the way. That's John Krasinski.
He made a pretty cryptic comment about certain locker room things and certain things like that in the post-game presser.
But here's what's also true. He is the primary reason that they were as good as they were in the playoffs and made the Western Conference Finals a year ago.
Right.
Both things are true. I'm not defending how bad he was, because how bad he was very real and detrimental. But you can't also deny how good he was a season ago and how impactful he was on that team making the Western Conference Finals run. So
it's why they ran it back last. It's why they ran it back this year.
Yes. And I think it's easiest to blame Julius, but also not having that extra ball handler in DDV against San Antonio is very impactful. I know as it went on, technically Ant was getting healthier and healthier, but he clearly wasn't as explosive as we know Ant to be. And that injury impacted him. So there's a million little things you can take out of the series, out of the playoffs. the emergence of Shannon and what he did with those injuries and the opportunity, and like, should he get more opportunities? Why didn't he get more opportunities? It's not an entirely fair conversation. That's the headline of the conversation. I understand that, but like, they're in a weird spot right now. And I think mostly it feels weird because we have a sour taste in our mouth because they didn't make the Western Conference Finals for a third year in a row. They bowed out earlier than we're used to.
And by the way, they lost to a team that's like everybody. The thing that is on everybody's talking point right now is this Wemby's league now? Like, and so it's not like you lost to a depleted Golden State Warriors team or something like that, or you lost to a team of equal strength. You lost to like an ascending superstar, and like who, as we've learned throughout the series, the league is very invested in him being successful.
And those conversations, just as a tangent here very quickly, all the conversations about Wemby right now, God bless him, he's awesome, and it might be his league. They're also completely and utterly blown out of proportion right now because do you remember how we were talking about the Timberwolves after they won the first game of their series against the Spurs?
Mm-hmm.
Remember those conversations that were only 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
You remember those and how much smoke was blowing up our hind ends from national media about the Timberwolves after game one? We remember that, right? So like, let's just Wemby's incredible, and he's going to be a problem for the next decade and a half. That's just a fact. But like, we got to chill out here a little bit too.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right. Quickly to wrap things up, I just got two things we need to mention. This doesn't need to be deep dives, but just give me a gut check. Corey, there's a lot of consternation on social media about Chris Finch's job status. I've been a very adamant Chris Finch defender on this show. I'm not saying he's a perfect coach, but I'm saying, like, I think the calls to just get rid of him and that he's a bum, I think, are very overblown.
There are no perfect coaches.
There are no perfect coaches at all. Ask any team, ask Cleveland fans right now how they feel about Atkinson. They're not going to be very happy right now. And they're in the Eastern Conference Finals and a good chance to go to the finals. There was a report that the Knicks might fire, is it Mike Brown is their coach right now? If they, like, they'd have to win the finals for him to keep his job. There have been reports about that. So whatever, it's just how the NBA works. I don't have any problem with Chris Finch returning. Do you?
No, none at all. The name right now is Jason Kidd because the Mavs just fired him. So that's but whatever. That's not. I don't need Jason.
Chris
Finch is not going to be the Timberwolves head coach because that's how it works. And it might be this offseason. It might be halfway through next season if next season starts. There's going to be a time where Chris Finch is not the head coach. But he will be immediately hired by somebody and be a head coach for another decade if he wants.
Exactly. Yeah, and Tim Connolly has already been on record saying, like, hey, Chris Finch is our coach next year. Like, that's like his job is safe. Now, again, in the NBA, if they start bad out of the gate, he could very well find himself in that spot. But now the Timberwolves are in a very interesting spot, Corey. Do they go big game hunting for the big buck known as Giannis Antetokounmpo? Nobody has any hard sources. It's that kind of year where everybody goes back to, like, if you look at the tweets, hey, Timberwolves have just got eliminated. They were in on Giannis at the trade deadline. Do they pursue it again? Which they totally will, because they're in a better position asset-wise to go after him now when it comes to draft picks and manipulation of all that kind of stuff. Just on a gut level check, are you on the, you know what, blow up the core, go get Giannis, like pair Giannis with Ant and let's see what happens? Or are you like, hey, gut level right now, just like, let's figure out what to do with Julius Randle and play everybody else back?
Well, I don't know what you mean when you say blow up the core. So let me,
are you willing to part with like Jaden and stuff like that? And to kind of like, are you willing to make a major shakeup to get Giannis?
I'm willing. Okay. So I don't know about Jaden, but am I willing to make a major shakeup to get Giannis? 100%. And here's why. Just personally, because I don't know how you could pretend. Like, I understand how you could say no to that, considering what the potential blow up is. Like, I understand that it needs to be as close to fair as possible, but it wasn't that long ago that the Western Conference went through Denver. And Denver is back in ways, but the Western Conference doesn't go through them now. They're third on the list of teams who I think most people will say the Western Conference goes through. And before Denver is going to be in some order OKC and San Antonio. The Timberwolves are probably fourth on that list, right?
Yeah.
So the guy who makes all the decisions on the roster constructed a roster to make sure that they could beat Denver, but they're not the big game anymore.
Make sure you can beat Wemby or
you can beat Wemby. And then, by the way, Wemby Light plays for OKC. He's not as big of a game-to-game factor, but he still exists.
Yeah.
There's one guy probably in the entire, maybe two if you want to include Anthony Davis in this conversation. But mainly there's one guy who is built to guard those guys, and that is Giannis. Mm-hmm. And Giannis can be an absolute fits maker for Wemby because he's so tall, he's so long, and he's built like a brick house.
And he's not a net nothing offensively.
And
Gobert.
Exactly. So I say all that to say, yes, is it there a good chance that they eventually move to the Eastern Conference? Is that happening next year? Nope. Is it even happening 2 years from now? Seems like maybe, but probably not. Like we don't know.
These take time. Yeah.
These things take time. They're in the Western Conference
for the foreseeable future.
Which means those are the doofuses you got to go through. And it's no longer Denver who is the scariest team in this mix.
Mm-hmm.
Scariest teams require a Giannis. They don't require necessarily a Gobert and a Julius, or a Gobert and a Towns, or a Gobert and a Nas, or a Nas and just those names are all interchangeable. You know what I mean? So if it's about winning championships and there's teams in front of you and in your way, and you need to construct your roster to beat those teams, Giannis is the guy to fix those problems.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't have said it better myself. And by the way, if you build that team to beat in the Western Conference, so you get moved to the East doesn't get harder. You'll be a super team in the Eastern Conference. So you're already, that team is already fine. Maybe matchup wise, some things work out a little weirder, but I
really
figure that out. Yeah,
really. Cause who's like that in the East? Anthony Davis is the only guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boston doesn't have any, Embiid would be the other, would be the other big guy, but I think we all feel the same way about Embiid, don't we?
We are not scared of him the way we are scared about somebody else. By the way, everybody used to talk about Embiid is leagues better than Cat. Oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. Karl Anthony Towns has now made 3 conference finals. Embiid still can't get out of the second round.
I forgot about Cat. Cat would be the other big you have to concern yourself with.
Yes.
That's a guy Giannis can guard.
Exactly. Because Cat presents his own unique challenges just with his shooting. So,
yes.
All right. Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.